welcome to another episode of the Embody Method podcast. Today I've got some exciting things I want to chat about, and it is about my new one-to-one offer, which is 90-day No Weigh Challenge. No way, yes, it is. And weigh is spelled W-E-I-G-H, and this is designed for those people who told me that the scales is keeping them stuck. And I see it day in, day out with women who are trying to make those changes. They're feeling good about themselves and they rely on the scales to validate how they're feeling, validate how well they're doing. Even if they're doing all the right things, that number on the scale can suddenly bring their mood from high to low. And I want us to break free from the scales and focusing on the scale weight as the only factor for success, progression, and getting them out of your mind. If you are like quite a few of the women who replied to some of my questions about weighing, some people weigh themselves every single day. And if you can imagine I can imagine the mind fuckery that basically goes along with weighing yourself every single day. It is not a nice place to be, because I can imagine that you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and that's probably what your weight is doing, because it is normal for there to be natural fluctuations in your weight across days, weeks, months. And instead of allowing that to happen and acknowledging, yeah, that's normal fluctuations, it's human, I'm human, we can let that then impact and influence our mood, how we respond in terms of our eating behavior, maybe how we respond in terms of our exercise behavior. And these can lead to really unhealthy habits and behaviors over time, which might start to creep back in when you see something you don't want to see on the scales. The thing with the scales is it doesn't tell you the full picture, and it means that the factors that we're maybe forgetting, like the habits that you've suddenly started managing to do every single day of the week, the exercise regime you've picked up, the great eating habits you've developed, the fun times you're having with your family, with your friends, because you're able to relax a little bit more, you feel more comfortable in your own skin, all those things are suddenly banished out the window because of what those scales are telling us or showing us. So this 90-day challenge, as the name suggests, it's 90 days, which is basically 3 months. And I think this is a really good period of time to find a new rhythm and routine. And I'm not going to sort of pussyfoot around the fact that this will be quite hard for some people, and it might just be the sort of kick up the bum that you need to get you out of that constant state of stagnation. Because what mostly will happen with people who are prolific yo-yo dieters or have been dieting for most of their life is that they'll have periods where they notice that the scales are going down and they think they're doing everything right, and then when they see that upward number, a number that's gone up on the scales, they suddenly start to question everything they've been doing. Oh, I've been doing it all wrong. I need to suddenly change something. I need to suddenly stop eating bread. I need to cut my calories. I need to exercise more. I need to do blah, blah, blah. And they get in this little spiral. They try really, really hard with unsustainable things, and then they give up. And then they'll come back and start again, and they'll lose a little bit more, and then the scales will show them something they don't want to see. And so the cycle continues. So 3 months, I think, is a really good measure to kind of kick the habit, because it is a bad habit. And like any bad habit, if you've ever smoked or you've maybe got a real sweet tooth, there are ways and means to kind of to break the need or the requirement for those things. And I think that we do need to give ourselves a little bit of time to do that. So how it works is it's online coaching one-to-one. So you get everything you would get as per my normal one-to-one coaching, which is a lot of support from me, guidance and accountability. You get a training program. So, when you sign up, we'll discuss what your goals are. Are you wanting to lose weight? Are you wanting to stay as you are? Are you wanting to build weight by growing muscle? Are you wanting to just focus on being generally healthier and fitter? Not everyone's going to have a fat loss goal, and that's absolutely fine. I can support lots of different women in lots of different situations. Then based on that, we'll talk about what we're thinking in terms of our calories and macronutrient targets, primarily protein. And then we'll talk about strength and the gym, whether you're going to be going to a gym or whether you're going to be doing things at home. And if you're at home, have you got access to weights, or will it all be body weight stuff? So there'll be various options for your exercise element of it. And then one bit which I'm really excited about is this new kind of section of embodiment. And when you think about yo-yo dieting and being unhappy in your own skin, quite often it's because we're dysregulated from our emotions and from a connection with ourselves. So I want to encourage you to find that connection and become embodied with yourself and with this process through some great mindfulness and holistic approach. So there'll be yoga, there'll be some meditation, there'll be some breath work exercises, things that I want you to build into your toolbox. So when you start to feel overregulated or anxious, stressed, or in a kind of lower hypo-aroused state, you've got things that you can turn to. And altogether, I think this is a really important way to reduce reliance on the scales and to be more connected with yourself and to actually acknowledge changes in feelings, and body positivity, body flexibility, which I think scales take away from us, because like I say, we're looking for that external validation, and those numbers which we see aren't a true reflection of everything that you've been doing and everything that you're feeling and everything you're made up of. The scales don't just weigh fat, and I think we forget that a lot. So there'll be lots of support there for us to try and move away from the scales. And the reason it's a challenge is because I'm going to ask you to provide one weight at the start of our program, and I'll be able to use that along with whatever goal you might have, so we can talk about sort of calories and macronutrients we're going to work towards. But then after that, there will be a commitment by you that you're not going to weigh yourself for the next 3 months. And I say commitment because really it's a commitment to yourself, but also to me, because you've signed up for this program for a reason. And when you commit to something, it's important that you see it through and don't set yourself up for failure. So we're going to get those scales hidden away. We're not going to have them sitting in the bathroom so you see them every time you go in there. And instead of using the scales, we're going to think about other ways of measuring progress. So we're going to use progress photos. We're going to take measurements. We're going to think about how we're sleeping, how we're eating, what our energy like, what our mood's like, how our food intake is. Lots of different factors that we can utilize to talk about our progression, not just the scale weight, and instead of the scale weight in this case. And one of the questions I was asked is, how am I going to know if I'm seeing any progress if I'm not weighing myself? And the scales don't show your full amount of progress, and sometimes they can even mask the progress you are making. So by utilizing progress pictures and measurements, we're still going to be getting a body, a quantifiable number from your body and an image. Progress pictures are so good to show changes that you might not notice yourself, because you stare at yourself all the time in a mirror and you'll still pick apart the same little bits you don't like. And actually having a photo of yourself that someone else can look at, in this case me, can really show a huge amount of change that you maybe not been focused on because you're too busy looking at a different part of your body you don't particularly like. Alongside that, you've got your measurements. Now, all these things are still relatively inaccurate. Scale weight's inaccurate. Measurements are quite inaccurate because, you might not be taking the exact same portion of your arm, your leg, your chest, your hips, your waist as you did the time before. But it just gives us a picture. And if your goal is to, tone up, lose weight, look a different way, then we're going to start to notice changes in the numbers. And we'll know which way they're going, depending on what your goal is, if we're doing the right things. And lastly, on this question, we know that the thing we need to lose weight, if you've got a fat loss goal, we know the one thing we need to be in is a calorie deficit. So the fact that we're not using the scales doesn't take away the fact that you will be in a calorie deficit if that is what your requirements are. So that nutrition side, if you have a fat loss goal and you're sticking to the nutrition side, then you will lose fat. But we know life's not that simple. Life's not that easy. There will be things that are thrown your way. It is life. We are human. And what this coaching will also do is support you through those challenges. So you don't throw in the towel straight away. You're able to build some resilience, bounce back, think about something over nothing versus all or nothing mentality. And that will help you continue to move through. So the 90-day No Weigh Challenge is open for business. So if this is something that you're interested in, maybe you want to know a little bit more, you want to speak to me first before you sign up, you can book a call with me, 15 minutes, we can have a little chat. You can reach out to me on Instagram at the.embodymethod, or if you're ready to go, I put a link below which will take you to my website. On there, there'll be a further page of information you can read through at your own time, and then there's a link to sign up and get started. So this is 3 months of one-to-one coaching, but we're looking to break free from the scales and think bigger than the scales. And the reason I say think bigger than the scales is because particularly if you want to get stronger, you want to build muscle, the scales are going to change, but they're not going to go down the way. Because if you want to build muscle, muscle is going to weigh more than fat. Therefore, the scales might change and go up. But you could look very different having more muscle, but weighing slightly more and having less fat. And for some women, that's a real hard thing to get their head around. But if the scales say I weigh more, then that means that's a bad thing, not all the time. And that's what I want us to get out of the mindset of. And I want us to think bigger and start to challenge our body and respect and love our body for what it's allowing us to do, rather than focusing on a number on the scales, which doesn't tell us very much all the time. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you in the 90-day No Weigh Challenge. And if you need any more info, the link is in the show notes. Okay, thanks.